Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Margarita and today I'm here to bring you my June wrap up. So let me apologize in advance if you guys hear any rumbling, any raining. We have a heck of a thunderstorm going on at the moment, but I wanted to film this, so here we are. The first two books that I'm going to talk about are books that were on my TBR for June that I have started and feel that I've gotten enough of the way through to actually count towards having read them. They're not finished, but I did read them or start them. The first one I want to talk about is Vixen by Rosie Garland, and I want to talk about this because this has been picked to be on my TBR like 3 or 4 times, so I wanted to tell everybody that I did in fact start it. I'm about 80 pages through. I can't say that I'm particularly in love with it so far. It's basically about 1349, this town in Devon where things aren't necessarily what they seem, and I believe the plague comes through, and it's just, you know, what happens in this little town. So far it's okay. I'm not loving it, I'm not hating it, I'm pretty indifferent about it, but I did actually start this book, so I'm very proud of myself. The next book that I have is The Search for Wandla by Toni Dizolarizzi, and I am about 254 pages through this book. It is almost 500 pages, so I'm about halfway through, and so far I'm really enjoying this. It follows our main character, Eva 9, who is on this planet that she thinks is Earth, but we later realize it's not Earth, and she's learning how to survive on this planet because she has lived in a secure facility all by herself with just her mother robot her whole life, her whole 12 years of her life. So this is the first time that she's actually on the surface world and she's learning how to survive, and so far I'm really enjoying it. So those are the 2 books that I started and did not actually get to finish in the month of June. All the other books I did in fact finish, and this was actually a really good reading month for me. All of the books that I read are between 3 and 4 stars. There were no 5-star books, but there were some books that I really loved. So the first book I'm going to talk about is Misadventures of a Curvy Girl by Sierra Simone. I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. It is a smutty romance novel about this girl who ends up being the third person in these 2 country boys, you know, love lives, and it's just super cute, and it's all about body positivity and, you know, loving yourself no matter what. Please excuse Duke, he's very interested in being part of this video. So I just really enjoyed it. It's hard for me to give a romance novel anything above 3 stars, so for me that's like the 5 stars of romance. But I really enjoyed it. I had a great time. It was a super fun, quick, easy read. Good stuff. The next book that I have to talk about is Furthermore by Tahereh Mafi. This is Duke. Thank you. This is basically a middle grade book about our main character Alice, who is born in, where is she from? She's not from Furthermore, she's from somewhere else. Farronwood. And in Farronwood, magic and color are deeply associated, and she is born with no color, so everybody thinks that she has no magic, and she hates the fact that she is colorless. So she decides to go on this quest to find her father, who has been missing, and it's basically about her and Oliver, this boy that his quest is to find her father, their friendship and stuff like that. I gave this 3.5 stars. It's okay. The ending was incredibly quick and easy and like with a bow wrapped up very nicely. But my biggest issue with this was the lack of communication between Oliver and Alice. It was just such a pain in the ass because it would have been so easy for Oliver to sit Alice down and be like, listen, this is what this world is like, and these are the reasons why you need to listen to me, and if you don't, we could die. like, and actually have that conversation with her and explain things to her, but instead he wants to be an asshole and be like, I'm gonna hold a little bit of power over you and you're not gonna know what's happening, and and like 99% of the situations could have been avoided if they had just like sat down and had a conversation. And I'm not a fan of that dynamic in general. So it was okay. 3.5 stars. It wasn't great, it wasn't bad. It's not something I'm going to reread, but I definitely want to continue on with the series, which I think the second one is Witchwood. I hear even better things about that one, so I'm looking forward to that. This one was just okay. The next book I have a lot of conflicting feelings about, but I did really enjoy it, and that is The School of Good and Evil, A World Without Princes by Soman Chanini. And this is the second book in the School of Good and Evil trilogy, I think, although now it's more than a trilogy, it's a series. And this follows our main characters, Sophie and Agatha. You know, I can't say too much, but it follows them and their story after the end of the first book. And I really liked the dynamic of, you know, girls don't need a prince in order to be complete. They don't need a love story in order to, you know, survive. Like, things are great without having to have a prince. If you want one, that's great, but you don't have to have one. But like, that's not the overall message that's sent in the end. And I think that was a really big missed opportunity, and that just really let me down. So I gave this one 3.5 stars. Also, I thought the message in the beginning could have been really, really great if they had followed through, but he didn't, and it's just like, it's okay. This series is so dark, and I absolutely love it for a middle grade. I don't know why. It just always shocks me when they're talking about killing each other and like fighting to the death. I'm like, this is for little kids. This is for young people. Like, why are we talking about this? I loved it. So 3.5 stars. Not the best thing I've ever read. I really wish that message had come across, that you can be complete without a boy, but also if you want a boy, that doesn't make you less of a girl. Like, I wish that had been the overall message, but it wasn't, which kind of made me a little bit sad. The next book that I have to talk about is The Trials of Morgan Crow, or Nevermore, The Trials of Morgan Crow by Jessica Townsend. This is just such a sweet little book. It's basically, it follows our main character, Morgan Crow, who is a cursed child. She was born on some special day, which means that she's cursed, and anything bad that happens in the world is her fault because of, you know, the day that she was born. And the worst thing that's going to happen, and the worst part of this curse, is she's going to die on, I believe, her 12th birthday. It's her 11th or 12th. I can't really remember. And, like, that's the worst thing that's going to happen. But lo and behold, what's his name? Jupiter North comes and tells her that she's not going to die on her birthday. And he sweeps her away to the world of Nevermore, where there's magic, and she's trying to become part of the Wondersmith Society, which only accepts a handful of students every year. So she's going through these trials to try and get into the school. And it's really sweet. I absolutely loved it. I liked the ending. I really want to read the second book. I want to continue on with the series. It's really sweet. It's super good. 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. Dukabook, you are so noisy. I'm sorry. The next book that I have to talk about is Euphoria by Lily King. This is a book about inspired by the events in the life of revolutionary anthropologist Margaret Mead. So basically, this follows 3 anthropologists in Africa and the love triangle that blooms between them and what they've learned and stuff like that. It's really good. I don't want to get too detailed about it because it's actually a relatively short book. It's under 300 pages. I really enjoyed this. I thought this was very interesting, and there were some really shitty characters in this book, but I really enjoyed it. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. I'm glad that I read it, and I think that this is a book that I could see myself rereading and gathering more information about it. I just really enjoyed it. I know I didn't say a whole lot, but it's good. Just take my word for it. The next book that I have to talk about is Wild Embers by Nikita Gill. This is I think this is her first poetry collection. I read Fierce Fairy Tales a couple months ago and absolutely loved it. and I read this and I enjoyed this too. I don't think it's as good as Fierce Fairy Tales, but I still did really enjoy this. Give this 4 out of 5 stars. It's all about, you know, their mixes of fairy tale, Duke! Mixes of fairy tales and mythology and, you know, just femininity and all this stuff about personal growth. It's really, really great. I'm sorry about that. So I really enjoyed this. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. The next book that I have to talk about is The Anatomy of Dreams by Chloe Benjamin. This book was really, really great. It follows our main character, Sylvie Patterson, who meets this boy in high school and they fall in love, and one day he mysteriously disappears. He never tells her where he goes or anything. He just disappears from her life. And so when she's in college, she sees him again, and he tells her, you need to come be a part of this sleep study that we're doing, you know, help be one of the researchers, because it's really interesting and you would be perfect for it. So she goes and becomes a researcher, and things are not necessarily what they seem, and it follows that story. I really enjoyed it. Sarah wanted me to tell her that she's an idiot because I did not see the ending coming. I'm not going to tell her that she's an idiot. I did have an inkling at one point. I was like, what if this is the ending? And then I thought, no, that's too crazy. It's not going to happen. And that was the ending. But I still did really enjoy it. Like, I did not expect that ending, even though I had guessed it. It was really good. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. The mystery is really well done. And it jumps back and forth between, like, during when she's part of this study to a couple years later, and it just jumps back and forth between it, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. The next stack of books that I have to talk about are all picture books that were amazing. So the first one that I have to talk about is Hecate, but I think that's Hecate. This is A Nightlight Story by Lorena Alvarez. This is the second book in her Nightlights series, and I just, again, absolutely stunning drawings. The story was really cute. There is a little bit of like darkness in it to kind of, so it's not all whimsy. There's a little bit of darkness, which I really enjoyed, and it's just great. I highly, highly recommend anyone who enjoys the artwork to definitely pick this up, because it's so worth it. It's gonna take you 15 minutes to read, and it's so worth it. The artwork is gorgeous. I want to have her artwork and hang it all on my walls. It's just stunning. The next book is You're Safe With Me by Chita Soundar and Poonam Mystery. And this is just a really cute goodnight story. What are they called? Bedtime story. I don't have children, can you tell? And it's basically, it follows these 3 little animals. There's a tiger, a monkey, and 2 other ones. There's that one that's like super endangered because people keep trying to eat it. What is it? That's the tiger. Well, I'm going to tell you what it is. It starts with a P. A pangolin. And the other one was, what was the other one? The other one is a loris. So it follows these 4 little baby animals during a storm that's happening in the jungle, and they have Mama Elephant who's with them and telling them, it's okay, these things have explanations and you are safe with me. And it's just a really cute bedtime story. The next one is Planting Stories, The Life of Librarian and Storyteller Pura Belpre. And this is by Anika I can't pronounce that, Denise and Paola Escobar. This is just such a cute little book. It is the life of Pura Belpre, and she is the first ever Puerto Rican librarian in the United States, and she noticed that there was a lack of books in Spanish for the Spanish community, so she started writing these children books from stories that she learned in Puerto Rico when she was younger, and how she changed the library and the book world because of this. And it's just such a cute little graphic novel, and like look at the end papers first and foremost. Like, how beautiful are those? The artwork is stunning, the story is great. I just love everything about it, and I got to learn about a really kick-ass lady, so what's not to love there? And the last picture book that I have is Power to the Princess, 15 Favorite Fairy Tales Retold with Girl Power, and this was such an amazing book. I want to buy this when I have children and read it to my children. It is so beautiful, and it's exactly what it says. It's about these girls, or these, you know, fairy tales where they are kick-ass and they're amazing, and they're these powerful girls that don't let anything stop them. And I'm just like, yes, please, more of this. There's representation, like in Rapunzel, the prince is blind. In The Little Mermaid, she falls in love with another girl. There's just so much beauty and so much wonderfulness in this, and I love it. Everybody please pick this up and read it. So all of those picture books I gave 4 out of 5 stars, and then I have 2 more books to talk about. The first one is I Wish You All the Best by Mason Deaver. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. This is a story about a non-binary character written by a non-binary author. So its own voices. I thought it was really, really good. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Really enjoyed it. I listened to it as an audiobook, and I highly recommend that format. I really enjoyed the audiobook. I thought it was very well narrated. And it was just beautifully done. I really liked it. There were parts that ripped my guts out, especially in dealing with the person's parents, because I just have a lot of anger and sadness about how they reacted to them coming out. So I just had a lot of issues about that. And again, that's not the book's fault. The book portrays it in such a way that it seems realistic, and then you're just like, why is this the reality of this situation? This is disgusting. So not the book's fault. That's how you were supposed to feel. I am so upset that there are people in the world that go through what this kid went through. It's just unacceptable, in my opinion. But we're not going to get into that. The last book that I have to talk about does not actually have a star rating, because I still have not decided a star rating for it. I did really enjoy it, but I will explain. And that is Sadie by Courtney Summers. And Sadie is basically this story that follows our main character, Sadie, whose little sister is murdered, and she goes out looking for the person who murdered her little sister. And it's also told via podcasts about Sadie and her life, and, you know, she's gone missing in the trail of what she does. And I listened to the audiobook. Again, 10 out of 10 recommend the audiobook. It was very, very well done, and the podcast part of it was very cool to actually listen to. I really enjoyed that. The reason I cannot give this a star rating is because it just hurts my soul. Like, the story itself hurts my soul. That, again, it's one of those things that it just hurts my soul that this happens in the real world, and it's disgusting and it's heartbreaking, but it's such a good story. I highly recommend everybody read it if you can read things, you know, like trigger warning for murder, for child pornography, for pedophilia, for kidnapping, for, you know, all of that stuff. Assault, sexual assault, like trigger warning for all of that. It's really tough subject matter to read, but it's a wonderfully done book. I really, really recommend it. I'll probably end up landing on a 5 out of 5 stars for the actual recommendation, but right now I cannot put a star rating to it, because part of me wants to give it a 1 star because it's such a shitty topic and it's like so horrible, but at the same time I want to give it 5 out of 5 stars because it was so good. Like, it's just, I have a lot of conflicting feelings about that book. So those are all of the books that I read in the month of June. Let me know in the comments down below if you have read any of these books, your thoughts and opinions on these books, and I will see you guys next time.